Okay, that's as far as the top headlines at this point in time are concerned. Our first guest is waiting by. That's Ashok Group CFO of Essar. Thank you very much for joining us, Ashok. Well, first up is this the changed ECB rules. Companies like yours, manufacturing companies, will now be able to take forex loans and swap their rupee loans with FX loans. Is this immediately beneficial to you?
First of all, good morning to both of you. Yep, I think we have been Essar has been propagating this issue for the last couple of months. We have been pushing various bodies to make sure that ECBs are available for prepaying rupee loans. The end use of ECBs has always been a concern for Indian corporates in these tight liquidity conditions and the high interest rates. So I think it's a very welcome move. It's path-breaking. I think it's a very the first step towards, or one of the first of the many steps towards capital account convertibility. So in that context, the regulator has done a wonderful job. I think for people, for groups like us, which have a predominantly rupee balance sheet, because we have completed all our capex and our borrowings are in INR, it's a very welcome step to swap these with dollar loans. Even though there are a couple of concerns as we read the fine print of the guidelines, but I'm sure this can be ironed out. But overall, yes, very positive. According to me, very positive step.
But you ought to have foreign exchange earnings, isn't it, to be able to avail of this?
Perfect. That's the key message which we drove to RBI with our main two flagship businesses, steel and oil, having substantial exports, a track record of exports in the businesses, and a great hope of increasing this trend over the next 10 years. We have substantiated that these are export-driven companies, a lot of foreign exchange earnings, and we are pretty confident that the dollar earnings suffice to repay the borrowings under the ECB umbrella. It suits us perfect. Unlike companies which don't have exports, we have about a substantial amount of our products in oil and the steel products as export dominated.
That's some news coming in on Strides Arco Lab, where they have redeemed their FCCBs worth around $80 million, and their debt to equity ratio has been reduced to 0.75 versus 1.67 earlier. That's positive news coming in on Strides Arco. Up around
the few companies which have been able to redeem rather than convert.
Exactly. Mr. Ashok, just wanted to actually focus on the appetite for ECB or the accessibility of ECB loans at this point in time. We did have some viewpoints, or experts point out that majority of ECB loans are sourced from Europe, and considering that the situation in Europe is so grave or precarious at this point in time, the appetite is difficult, or it's difficult to attain these loans. What is your viewpoint on the same?
Yeah, I agree, because the banks have not been allowed to issue SBLCs or guarantees for availing the ECBs. So for a bank which is again going through a turmoil there in Europe, banks which are going through turmoil in Europe and other parts of the world, for them to take risk in India today would be a challenge. Hence, we are telling RBI that to relax the norms when Indian banks can issue SBLCs, so that we could avail the ECBs. It's a challenge, but also do understand there are Indian banks who have got offshore branches who can also lend in dollars. So that's also one more source of understand the fact that Indian banks have lent in rupees to us. They have taken a project risk. The project has been completed. The risk goes off from there now. For them to now lend offshore dollars to us to replace the rupee loans is not a big challenge. So the only source of revenue being the European banks is not true at all. So we'll have to work out, this SBLC is of concern. We have got some feedback from banks saying that if there's a guarantee from Indian banks, we could definitely look at ECBs. But I think India has always managed to get ECBs. We have, Essar also has drawn a lot of loans earlier in ECBs. We have got a lot of relationship banks around the globe who are willing to look at Essar for ECBs and other foreign currency loans. So we are pretty hopeful. I don't think that's the most important problem we have in hand right now. That should be surmountable.
Mr. Ashok, just to focus on a broader perspective then, do you expect this 10 billion limit to then be lapped up quite soon? Because in the past, and for example, if you could throw some light on how exactly the ECB market has panned out in the past vis-a-vis now?
See, in lighter vein, I think the $10 billion should have been limited over by yesterday. I mean, that's how the appetite is. So, but yeah, 10 billion is a little less. but you can keep asking for the moon. I mean, so there's no end to it.
Earlier,
the issue was...
Ashok, any of your listed stocks will be benefited through lower interest costs, you think?
Yes, it will be. The port
Which
business,
ones?
the oil business, all will benefit. Essar Ports and Essar Oil.
Okay. Well,
they will definitely benefit.
Okay, just one more point before we get to a couple of questions on Essar. There is also the leeway given, or maybe easing of rules on money invested in infrastructure bonds. The lock-in has been now reduced to 1 year. The residual maturity has been cut to 15 months. Are you seeing that as a source of money coming in at all?
Yes, it is. I think we have pretty strong infrastructure in power, ports, and other businesses. So I think that will really help having a more appetite. But Lata, it's not these policies which are a concern. I mean, these have been pretty liberal. We need to we need to get the whole infrastructure thing going right now as a country. It's not related to specific businesses. There has to be increased emphasis on infrastructure growth. There has to be shown that. I think there's a positive news today that a couple of news today that 7-8 banks are joined together to form an infrastructure funding group, and then there was something today on a PM office looking at huge infrastructure projects, tracking them. I think those are the measures which will bring sentiments and investments. All these are fine. I mean, individually there are appetite for companies like us. But I think overall the macro thing has to improve.
No, it's coming at a very good time for you, because this Essar Oil huge liability of 8,000 crore, the Gujarat High Court rejecting your plea for some munificence in terms of interest payment, all that is not coming. Well, you still have perhaps the Supreme Court, but how are you planning to pay that liability? How much will it show up in terms of interest costs in the current year?
On the sales tax front, Lata, I think on the sales tax front, others in the world are more losing sleep than we are. We know what we're doing. We got our lines tied up at all. We have to shell out the payment. I mean, I think it's not a big concern at all. I mean,
no, not a
it's
concern.
Part of the process.
Your FY12 interest payment is 1,400 crore. How much will it go up to in Essar Oil in FY13, you think?
No, it will come down. I said we are this ECB window which is open for us.
No, but you have to borrow 8,000 crore more, Ashok.
For the company this year.
In spite of borrowing 8,000 crore more?
No, it's not 8,000. No, it's not 8,000 first. Okay, and it is first not crystallized whether need to borrow. The process is still not over. We are still deliberating. We are still discussing with various authorities. I won't rule out anything right now, Lata. You have to give me some time. We are still talking. I will not account that loan in the books today to say that there is an interest outgo on account of that.
Okay,
we're still far away.
Mr. Ashok, could you just highlight where exactly the process stands at this point in time? We understand that you're possibly going to appeal to the Supreme Court. Just give us a list of events which we could expect with regards to the sales tax deferment liability.
No, that's exactly what you said. I mean, we are going to the Supreme Court and appeal against the order. We'll see how that shapes up.
Okay.
But there are contingency plans in the company, nothing to worry about.
You all haven't exited CDR, no? Essar Oil?
Very soon.
How soon? Because we have been hearing very soon for some time.
Very soon. Just wait for some time. It will happen.
Would raising equity be on the cards at all then for the company?
All options are available any point of time. Any corporate like our size, options of raising capital always there. Keep examining options.
Okay.
I mean, I could never say yes or no, but all this keep happening.
Just a word on steel. Globally, we are seeing a dip in raw material prices used by the steel industry. Of course, end product prices also are softening. How will margins pan out for that unit? I know it's not listed, but still impacts the overall group revenues. Will steel be, doing better in FY13 than in FY12?
100%. I think we are fully integrated backwards now. We got our facilities in the East Coast ready to supply raw materials. So I think the margins per ton for Essar Steel this year should be far, far better. And as we go forward, these are the best days for the company. Remember one thing on steel, I think I should point out that there are no capacities coming in. We have a huge headwind on this. We have put up the assets. And going forward, I think I mean, steel manufacturers like us who have got world-class facilities will definitely enjoy the run going forward.
Okay, Mr. Ashok, can you just leave us with what exactly is happening with the Mahan coal block? Where do things stand on that front?
We got the approval to go ahead with the mining. That's the best news for us.
All right, I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us, Ashok, with your views today. Take a break on that. Coming up, SEBI has relaxed guidelines for offer for sale.